people are constantly raising the bar.
Sacrifices need to be made.
What would you guys say are your biggest weaknesses?
You or your enemy right now?
Is success a lie?
It's just a fucking podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the Student Side Hustle. This week I am talking to Chrissy Squats, and we are talking about a few different things about girls in the gym and how to increase your glute strength and how to sort of start gymming when you don't know where to start. So Chrissy, one thing that I'd first like to touch on is I would like to touch on what is your main advice for girls in the gym?
Yeah, so for girls in the gym, I think it's the scariest part about getting into the whole gym thing is just getting yourself to the gym and making the membership and actually going.
Yeah.
So when I first started actually going to the gym, I started going with my ex-boyfriend. So having that person who already kind of knows how to go about the gym and everything, it's definitely going to help.
Yeah.
If you don't, I mean, obviously if you're not in a relationship, you can try to find a friend to go with.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, I work at the gym, so I'm aware of like all the services we offer, but most gyms will let you do an initial tour. So they'll show you around the gym, where the weights are, you know, if there are any courses available, because I work at the YMCA, which is a pretty big company, right? So they offer various things. So definitely finding something you really enjoy about the gym. So that's really going to get you started. I used to be a runner. So what I enjoyed doing was I would go on the treadmill and run, and just getting yourself comfortable in a gym environment in the beginning is very important. Yeah. And then after a while I decided, you know what, like I'll try lifting some weights. And I remember in the beginning I couldn't even curl 5 pounds, you know. And it's embarrassing. It's very embarrassing. It's difficult.
But it's like it's sort of like you just gotta like not care, because it doesn't matter in the end. It's
of course. I mean, looking now, I mean, I have a lot of people that come and say like, oh my god, like men too, you know, you're so strong. What did you do? And I say, well, I've been training for 2 years consistently, right? So it's not something that you can't just go into a gym and be able to lift, I mean, as much as other, not only women, but men are lifting. You can't compare yourself to that, right? Because they started there too. Yeah. So definitely, to recap, kind of just find someone to go with, preferably someone who's already comfortable in a gym environment, just because they can show you around and they'll probably know a little bit better. Check if there's, you know, any services that you might enjoy just to get yourself into the gym. So whether it's, you know, the cardio machines, like special group classes or whatever, or even getting a personal trainer who will show you around the gym and how to do things properly. Because I think that's what most people are scared of, like to look stupid in the gym, because they don't know how to do something and they don't want to do it wrong and they don't want people to laugh at them, because that's definitely, you know,
like, cause
that's something scary.
Do you have any tips for getting over sort of the feeling of being judged? Because personally, like, I found, like, I've always felt judged until I realized that, like, I don't think many people actually
looking
care.
at you.
Yeah.
Everyone who is serious at the gym is too busy looking at themselves in the mirror to be completely honest.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, again, I'm a certified personal trainer. I've been training in the gym for 2 years, and I still always get worried. What if this person is looking at me? What if this, you know, and I'm the kind of the person in the gym who starts, like, I was probably one of the first people that did the hip thrust in the gym, and it's an awkward exercise, I guess, if you don't know about it. And I was always like the first person to start like those weird exercises, like even cable pull throughs, which is like a variation of a hip thrust, but it's awkward. And you know what, you just have to say like, hey, if I don't do it, then, you know, I won't grow big glutes, example. So
it's like,
I have to do it.
Yeah. Do you have any tips specifically for hip thrusts? Because personally, I found them, I've been trying to get into them and trying to get heavier and progress on them, but I find like either it's my neck that's feeling uncomfortable, or I can't find the right spot for my back on the place that I'm leaning, or I can't, like, there's just so many things with it that I find difficult. And it's so like compared to like a squat, you squat, like it does have a
Well,
lot
I
of
think
technicalities, but it's like,
Yeah, I think a squat, actually, a lot of people think they're doing it correctly, but
yeah.
they really aren't, to be
Mm,
honest.
mm,
But hip thrust, the hip thrusts, especially hip thrusts, are going to help you with your squat. They're going to help you with your
yeah.
deadlift. They're going to help you with so many things. And a lot of people neglect, again, the hip thrust because it's kind of awkward. But once you get
Yeah.
into it, you're like, people are actually interested, and they come up to me and ask me, oh my God, what is this exercise? What is
Yeah.
it? What does it work, and how do you do it? And so yeah, I actually learned how to hip thrust from Brett Contreras. I'm not sure
Really?
if you know who
Oh
that
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of him. Yeah, he's definitely
So
inspired me to do more
his
glutes.
nickname,
Yeah,
is the Glute Guy.
yeah.
So definitely, like, I mean, just typing him up, Brett Contreras,
Mm,
hip thrust. He's has some pretty in-depth, articles on how to do it and
mm,
other glute training. But so pretty much, what you want to do is you want to have we're a lot stronger in our glutes than we think we are. It's more
mm.
about just activating them before.
Yeah,
So number one thing is actually just to understand the way to engage your glutes.
yeah.
So the best way would be to have a resistance band if you have one. If not, just do some glute bridges. But to make
Yeah.
sure that you're really you have to tilt your pelvis inwards but you have to think, you have to do the mind muscle connection, right?
Yeah.
So you have to really think, I'm squeezing my glutes right now, and this is what's raising my body up off of the floor, rather
Yeah.
than just mindlessly going up and down, right?
Mm.
So it's just getting that. I think that's even harder than doing the hip thrust. It's being able to engage your glutes correctly. Again, with a resistance band, because it's allowing you to push open to not allow your knees to cave in, which is one of the functions of the glutes. That's also going to help you feel it a lot more.
Yeah.
But definitely, yeah, just starting off without any weights, without any bar, just on the floor, glute bridge is the first step. But once you've mastered that, once you really feel it in your glutes, what I like to say is squeeze as if you have $1 million bill between your butt cheeks, just squeeze.
Yeah.
It's going to be like the ugly butt. Don't worry,
Yeah.
do it all. And that's what's going to allow you to really engage your glutes properly. So, and then once we move on to the actual hip thrust, so you want to bench, I use a little step that's around, the height of your mid back.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what you want to do is have your scapula really hooked over them. Do you understand what that means? Like hooked over?
I used to try and have the bench, have too little of my back on the bench. And I found that was just painful, and I couldn't get even a good I couldn't get a good lever going. But
so you definitely,
I don't want to go too far.
Of course. I think, again, you need to play around with it, because a lot of people tend to use too much of their upper body also. So you want to make sure that, I'm really feeling this strictly in my glutes and my abs and my hamstrings, my quads, more of my lower body than I am in my upper body. So it's great to play around with it. Again, just to even look up Brett Contreras, the videos, you're able to visually see, where they place their back. So there's that. And then there's obviously, it really depends on the person, again, because everyone feels exercises in a different way. So the best thing is not to copy exactly what someone else is doing, but slightly, move out your feet a little bit more forward, more backwards, closer towards you, point your toes out a little bit more, just play around with that, to see what makes you feel it the most in your glutes. Okay. Another thing is to make sure that you're engaging your core. So don't just, again, mindlessly bring the bar up and down. You really have to think, I'm contracting my glutes and I'm also contracting my core in order to lift this bar up, because they work together. And then, and lastly, the most important thing actually is to always keep your head tucked in, so your chin on your chest. That's going to allow you to, that's going to limit any posterior tilt, which means sticking your butt out. And
so is that
your...
the opposite? Because I know a lot of people get it from sitting. They get anterior pelvic tilt. Would that be the main way you can get that posterior tilt? Because I think that's something I need to add in, because I do not do the chin tucking. I think that may be one of my major flaws.
that solves a lot of issues. Generally, a lot of people, they tend to kind of tense their neck up, and that causes a lot of rounding out in the lower back, which doesn't allow you to engage your glutes as well as if you were to really tilt in your pelvis.
Yeah, so it's definitely because with squats I found at first they felt really uncomfortable for me. The more I just tweaked everything and just played around with it, and the more I just did it with even just lightweight, and I just played around and get. But how do you, when it comes to actually adding weight on the hip thrust, that's something that I find, I don't know when I can add weight and when my form is staying good enough for me to add weight. When do you think? Yeah. Do you have any tips for that?
So yeah, definitely. I actually only started doing hip thrusts like a few months ago, to be honest, and now I'm able to. My PR is 4 plates, so 4 45-pound plates. 4 45-pound plates each side. I've done 2 reps for 2 sets, kind of thing. Yeah. So again, back a few months ago, I was only just doing glute bridges, with a resistance band, nothing heavy at all. But like I said, our posterior chain is, so all the muscles of our back, of our, like behind our body, our posterior body, they're very strong because they're what keep us standing, They have a lot of potential for growth and strength. So I think, again, the issue is being able to properly engage our glutes. And once you do that correctly, once you really master the form without any weight, it's very easy to increase the weights after. And more than anything, I think we're just scared to add weight because we're like, I can't do that, And I find that it's a lot easier to add weight to a hip thrust than it is, for example, to add to a squat, because a squat is dangerous. If you add too much weight and you can't lift it, you're going to fall back. Whereas a hip thrust, you just go back down. I mean, the weight's on the floor and you don't really get injured that way. Of course, you don't want to push it too far, but again, if you can't lift the weight, you just can't lift the weight. There's not really, you're not going to move anywhere. Yeah,
so it can't be too risky, because I know people, if you push it too hard on bench, that is life threatening. If you don't have a spotter, it's just dangerous.
Yeah, and you really can't have you could kind of have a spotter for a hip thrust, but it's it defeats the purpose.
Yeah. It's very I don't know, that would they'd basically have to sumo deadlift it off you, and it'd be
pretty much, or one person on each side kind of thing. So definitely,
What other sort of exercises and main, if you were going to structure a program let's say 5, once, I don't even know, maybe a week program for a girl.
Okay.
I don't know, how many days would you recommend they lift, and how many days would you recommend they do back, chest, legs, etc.?
So this really depends on their background. So are you speaking about someone who is just starting out in the gym?
Yeah, a beginner who sort of just wants to get quote unquote fit.
Okay. So for someone who's just starting off in the gym, less is more, because your body is not accustomed to training to lifting weights or anything. So first you want to nail the form. That's the most important thing, because once you've got the form down, then the weights go up easily. No problem, obviously. Especially as a beginner, your body is able to increase weights a lot quicker than someone who's been lifting weights for a while, because you become a lot more used to the movements and everything, so your body is less affected. So so for someone who's starting off in the gym, I guess a girl, a guy too, also, honestly, 3 days a week where you have enough time in between each day to really recover fully, because you will be sore. You will be sore for quite a while, and every time you add a day or change up anything, you'll be sore, and it's very normal. And even now, 2 years later, if I change something up drastically, I will get sore. So 3 days a week, full body, are what I'd recommend. So mainly what I like to work on whenever I have a client is posture. So really making sure that they're training their mid traps, their rhomboids, their posterior deltoids, anything to open up their chest and really straighten up their back is really important, because we're always sitting pretty much. So our back muscles are very weak, and so are our glute muscles, unfortunately. So again, strengthening the glutes, so doing glute bridges with resistance bands, higher repetitions, playing around with variations. So even cable pull throughs, doing a variation of a deadlift, because I find a deadlift for a beginner is a little bit too much. So maybe doing like a stiff leg deadlift or a Romanian deadlift are good ideas. So I wouldn't train too much chest in the beginning. Maybe do a bench press or like a dumbbell press, just to incorporate the compound movement, because obviously it's going to allow you to train more muscles at once. The squat, again, if you don't have the mobility for it, because again we're sitting, we need to fix our mobility because we're always sitting. So definitely the squat I wouldn't start off with yet. But doing again a variation of a squat, so maybe with a cable, do lighter weights, do some lunges instead, do things that are still going to train the same muscle groups, and try to hit some compound movements more than just isolation, because your body is going to adapt quickly to just the compound movements because you're not used to training them, right?
I found definitely when I started, I was doing, do you know Jason Blaha, his 5x5?
No, I do not.
I think it's basically, the idea is you pick, I can't even remember now. I think it's you train 3 times a week, maybe 4, and you basically doing full body, but it's purely compounds. But it's like, and you add, I think he has they've structured the way that you actually progress weight wise. And I think it's quite a good place to start. Because I think,
definitely.
And it's definitely like, I find it hard because I have a few friends who are girls who I try to train in the gym, and I try to help them fix their form, but I always struggle with that because I'm not like qualified PT. I'm just like a guy who gyms, and I just try to help other people get into the gym. What would you say? Because a lot of the girls that I try and train, they a lot of the time are scared of getting too bulky when they do weights, or and stuff like that. How do you feel about that?
Okay, so I still get comments to this day, from my mom even, don't train, you don't need to get too big. I don't want you to look like Arnold. Okay, mom. So unfortunately, the only way a girl will get super jacked is if she's, using steroids or whatever. So, I'm pretty sure I was also worried about that in the beginning. I neglected to train upper body for quite a while, because I just didn't want to get bulky. And once I started training, I was like, oh, I should have started this a long time ago, because I realized that my lower body was getting pretty defined. I think again it's also genetics too, because some people naturally will have a broader upper body, or their body responds in different ways. So example, I'll train back and my biceps will feel it way more than my lats ever will, and I have baby lats. But I've been training them for a year and a half really seriously, and they still haven't grown that much. I mean, obviously there's been progress, but they're definitely not anything. I wouldn't consider them like big or anything.
I've heard that with my traps.
So for girls who are afraid of getting big and bulky, I'll save you the worries. It won't happen unless you want to get big and bulky. You will definitely not be getting big and bulky.
It's definitely like very hard. Do you have any tips for when it comes to just general guidelines for nutrition? Because generally that's not something I know too much about, because for me the main goal is just, I started off super skinny, so it's just gain weight. Like that's pretty much the main goal, is just pack on some kgs.
So I'm vegan. I'm not sure if you know that. So pretty much there's like this whole debate on how much protein you should intake. I think when you're first starting off, it's not that important. It's more about like just eat. Make sure you're not. I mean, it depends on your goals. Again, if you're trying to lose weight, try to track your calories. It's it's demanding, but I think it gives you like a rough guideline of, okay, am I overeating? Am I undereating? Am I eating way too many carbs? Not enough protein? So I think that's a good thing to start by doing. Also, there's a bunch of macro calculators online, so they'll give you. I mean, they're not like the most accurate thing. Like if you're trying to do a bikini competition or whatever, do not use those. Again, go to a personal trainer. But for someone who's just starting, or even someone who's been in the gym for a while but kind of wants to know around, what macros they should have, I think that's a good idea. So for protein, I generally say like between 0.6 to 0.8 grams per pound. I don't know how much that is in kilos,
I think it's, I try to stay, I weigh like 63 kgs, and I try to stay, I don't track my nutrition too much, because as you were saying before, knowing how much you're eating, there was a time when I thought I was eating enough, but I really wasn't. And then I did like 3 days of tracking my calories, and I tracked 4,000 calorie days, and I was like, I realized how much food that actually is, and how like difficult it is to try and hit that. Yeah. It's like, it's definitely my hardest like sticking point, is definitely trying to track and get those calories. Because I don't know. Yeah. For you, do you find it's harder to eat? Do you find it's easier to eat over or eat under?
So I mean, personally, I think it's easy for me. I undereat, and it's a big struggle for me. Luckily, genetically, I have a good amount of muscle mass on me. I've also been active my whole life, so that helps. But my boyfriend just constantly tries to force food down my throat all the time, because he's like, you're not hitting your calories, and I would track, and I remember I would try to eat even at a cut, and I couldn't do it at a deficit, and I would get so bloated. So, I decided like, I'm just going to try to slowly increase my calories as time goes. Right now I'm kind of intuitively eating, but I'm still like in the back of my head, I'm telling myself, eat more than you think, because you're definitely not eating enough. So for me personally, I have difficulty eating enough calories, but what plays a factor into that is, I also had an eating disorder when I was younger. So, I would undereat. I would miss my lunches, and I wouldn't, I thought that not eating would make me lose weight, but obviously that's not how it works. So for me, that it's undereating. That's the problem. But for a lot of people, it's overeating, and not just that, it's about what you eat too. So I find that the healthier you eat, and like especially vegan, you fill up so easily. So
and it's all like it's pretty like, I guess you can still eat shit on a vegan diet, but it's like it's much harder to eat like on just a normal diet. You like half your choices are just really bad food, and then like if you're picking it badly, but like on a vegan diet, it's like a lot of it is, it's very hard to eat chips and like crap like that. It's like you're mainly just going to be eating good quality stuff.
Yeah, well, on a vegan diet, actually, it's pretty funny because the processed food is what's most expensive. So all these like fake meats and fake cheeses are like, they're so expensive. So to eat junk food is like worse than eating, healthy food. Whereas, as an omnivore, where, junk food is so much cheaper than eating, I guess, meat and, and chicken and all this stuff. It's more that it's just more expensive to eat junk food as a vegan.
And it's like, because the one thing that I struggle with eating stuff like dairy free and all that kind of stuff is, the one thing that I find is I hate like eating nuts. I can't stand them for some reason. But I had this distance runner. He's actually my neighbor. He's like pretty good distance runner, and he's also vegan, and he just went vegan probably, I think it was like a year ago, and he's noticed his running has got better, but he's found it's harder to get calories in. How do you find? Yeah. Because I don't know how long you've been vegan for, but like, how is it easier or harder to get calories in?
So I've been vegan since May, and it's a lot harder to get calories in. It's a lot harder to get protein in. And like, I know a bunch of vegans say, oh, you'll hit your protein. It's fine. You for sure can, but it is harder. It's definitely harder. Implementing like seeds and again, nuts and whatever you can, like even flax seeds and pumpkin seeds are like the best thing. But again, every protein source as a vegan is also going to contain carbs and fats, whereas, chicken and stuff like that, there's a lot higher protein than there are, so that's the difficulty. Even like dairy products have a lot of protein, and it's easy to get that in, whereas you eat a lot of carbs on a vegan diet, which it's not necessarily bad. It just, you have to make sure that you're at least getting like the minimum intake of protein that you would need. As a beginner, again, this is like not something you need to focus on too much. Like, just make sure you're eating well and eating enough. Look less at like how much protein you're getting and all that stuff. That stuff should come like, after you've really gotten into the routine.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I'd like to probably finish off with this thing. What would be your main piece and the most important piece of advice to someone that is completely scared of the gym, has never walked in a gym in their life, and wants to start consistently lifting?
Yeah, so, well, I think it's nothing unique, but everyone started somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So everyone was that person who was scared to walk into the gym because they were new and they didn't know anything. I was that person. All my friends at the gym were that person. So you just have to do it, because if you don't do it, then you'll always be scared.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I remember for me, like, I was this scared, skinny kid going into like this gym, and I thought everyone was judging me, but it's like, now that I look at it, like, being one of the people in the gym who, like, I'm very, like, I feel at home in the gym now. It's just so, like, comfortable now.
It's a community. It's really fun.
Yeah, I notice, like, the more and more I do it, the more I'm like, wow, everyone is actually so nice at the gym. Just because it's like, it's basically a group of people who are all trying to progress themselves. They're all trying to just get better every day. And it's like, everyone's there for the exact same reason. Like, no one's there to judge.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's like, if they are,
totally.
then it's like I don't know what if they are there to judge, they probably won't be there for long.
Of course, I mean, there's always going to be those people in life that are miserable and are mean and whatever, but that's not just in the gym. You can walk down the street and you'll have that person, right?
Yeah.
So you really can't allow that to stop you from, doing this really great thing. Because I mean, again, the gym is not everyone's thing, and I always tell clients that, find that activity that you really enjoy. Just make sure you're being physically active. Obviously, make sure you're being healthy, but try it out, because you don't know, it might be like the best thing for you. I never would have guessed that I'd become a personal trainer and be in the gym 6 days a week and love it, and but if you don't try it, like, maybe you hate it, but you have to give it a chance.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Student Side Hustle. I would appreciate so much if you would leave a review if you'd like to hear more of what I'm saying. Then I would love if you would follow me on Instagram or check out my other social media, all linked in the show notes. And again, I would just like to say thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful evening and study hard.